about Kyler Murray this week. Um, let's go. Let's get Clayton Tune back. I think we'll win every game. What do you guys think? I mean, shoot, as long as we win games. I mean, we're not winning games with any quarterback right now. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Like I like I said before, I said it on Twitter. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I said, and I also posted on Instagram too. If it doesn't matter what the what the controversy is, or it doesn't matter what's happening. Like if we keep on losing, it doesn't matter. Like you can have Jacoby out there, you can have Kyler out there, you can have I don't know Colt McCoy out there for you Colt McCoy truthers. It's not going to change the fact that we're still losing end of game situations because we can't get a stop or we can't go down and drive and make a play. So little things like that is going to be the reason why we keep on losing. And I mean, I'll put it right here. It's the title of the thing. Coaches have to evaluate themselves this bye week. I think it's all a matter of coaching right now. There's no way around it. You got to just as coaches be better than what we have been the last couple of weeks. Losing by a field goal, losing by 1 point every single week. It, maybe the first week, second week, maybe you're like, hey, it's the NFL. Every game's a close game. But man, not being on the other side of these games every other week is crazy, man. Let me get my drink right here because I know my throat's a little dry right now. Um, let's see, what are you guys saying here on Instagram? Also, if you guys can be more appreciative, if you guys go to my YouTube, subscribe to YouTube. You guys want to talk on there, talk on there. I'm able to see that a lot quicker than what I am on Instagram or on Twitter. So just give you guys a heads up on that part. Other than that, let's keep on reading some of the comments right now. Fat win streak after the bye inbound. I love the optimism, right? But unfortunately, right now, just the way the games are going, the way this coaching staff is, the way I honestly think this locker room is is so fragile right now, just because I'm after the Titans loss, I think where it took a really big hit, where everyone was just like, they you could just tell on Gannon's face, on Kyler's face, on Petzing's, Nick Rallis, some of the players too. Whenever they talk in the media, they're just tired of losing, and like I said, I think it just falls on coaching for the most part. And there's no other way around that. I don't think there's a big fat win streak coming in here. I could bring up the Cardinals' next couple games. I know we're in a bye week next week, but here, let's look at this right quick. So the next couple games, yeah, we're coming back Monday night against the Cowboys at the Cowboys Stadium. Rappaport and Adam Scheffner reported that Kyler will be back that game, and as you guys know, Kyler's I think 8-0 or 9-0 against in that Cowboys Stadium, so he's undefeated in the stadium. But just the way that this Cowboys offense just looks so explosive, no matter who's out there, I don't think the Cardinals could keep up. The same way I said about the Colts, fortunately the Cardinals offense was able to put up 27 points against the Colts, but I think is going to be a shootout. I don't think the Cardinals can go toe to toe with the Cowboys right now in terms of scoring points and stuff like that. I don't know if they could ever score 30. At least now with Jacoby, you're able to get. I mean, it's not even that much of a difference if we're honestly looking at it. Saints game, Kyler played, we got 20 points. Panthers game, Kyler played, we got 27. It's 20 points because the defense gifted them that strip sack, fumble recovery, the scoop and score. So I would say for the offense, 20 points. 49ers, we scored 15 points. Seahawks, we scored 20 points. Titans, we scored 21 points. And then the Colts, yeah, we scored one more touchdown, right? 27 points. But we came back this week, 23 points. So, I mean, honestly, this offense hasn't changed. I know it looks maybe, you guys watch the game, we all watch the game. It looks maybe a little bit better because you have, the deep shots to Zay Jones, the deep shots to Marv. Just everything seems a little more on timing, and I believe that's where kind of Jacoby he gets the win out over Kyler. that's how people are seeing it right now. But overall, I mean, this offense isn't that much better. If we're really truly looking at the scores, I know there's, Jacoby had 270 some yards, 200 some yards against the Packers today. He had 300 at minimum against the Colts. So yeah, he's putting up stats, but at the same time, I mean, shoot, it doesn't really matter if we're not putting up points if we can't score once we get to the red zone. If we just keep on kicking field goals, so little things like that. I mean, I don't think this offense is changing too much, which is sad to say. Even though it looks so much better, um, and yeah, just letting you guys know about that. Here, let's go through some of the comments. Get rid of Petzing. Yeah, E Bull 94.2. Yeah, like I don't think we're gonna get rid of Petzing anytime soon. Just from everything that I hear and everything that's going on within the organization, I just think that's not how Gannon likes to do things. He's trying to obviously protect his guys, protect his offensive coordinator, protect his defensive coordinator, stuff like that. But ultimately, I don't think he's gonna fire anyone mid-season. He's gonna wait till the end of the year because originally, 2 3 years ago, when Petzing was first hired, he signed a 3-year deal. We're already 3 years in, and I think they're just gonna do the respectable way, and just let him play out the season. I mean, we're 2-5 heading into the bye week. Should honestly, have a lot more wins, especially with these one-score games, but the fact that matter is we are 2-5 going into the season. I mean, going into the bye week, and a Drew Petzing firing isn't going to change anything. You guys saw, we talked about it last week. You guys saw when someone else tried to call plays that Broncos, I think, preseason game. Um, we had Drew Terrell, him calling plays with Clayton Tune, and that looked horrible. That looked even worse than what we're seeing right now. And unfortunately, I know you guys don't want to hear it, but it could get a lot worse than what it is right now. Like this offense could look a whole lot worse than what it is going right now. And if you get rid of Petzing mid-season, unfortunately, it is going to look a lot worse. And I personally don't want to live through that. I still think there is an opportunity to maybe sneak into the playoffs, but I mean, time's ticking, man. Time's ticking, and if you're Kyler Murray, time's ticking with that because Jacoby's looking good. He's staying in the pocket. He's delivering some good throws. He's getting hit, but he's in there. He's sticking with his guys, and he's getting these deep play action shots to his receivers, to Trey McBride. They're able to score touchdowns, but at the same time, it's just we're just not winning. If Jacoby was able to win against the Colts, he was able to win against the Packers right now, then it'd be a whole new different thing where people online are saying, "Oh, QB controversy." We're starting Jacoby. We like Jacoby. The team plays better for Jacoby. As you guys see, we're scoring the same amount of points. Nothing's changing. I think just now the defense is maybe getting a little bit worse. I don't know what that is. I feel like our secondary kind of fell off a little bit, especially against the Packers. I mean, they do have great athletes at wide receiver, just how the Packers are in general. But other than that, we're not scoring. Yeah, we're getting a bunch more yards, but that's about it. Run game's looking as horrible as ever. Um, yeah, in the O line, I think with this game, I said it. I've been saying it since the Seahawks, since the 49ers game. We gotta just you just got to bench Jonah Williams. He's out there. He's every single time there is pressure is because it was through Jonah Williams. There's a reason why Micah Parsons never lined up against Paris Johnson. Yeah, maybe I think he got like one good like QB hit or one sack against Paris, and that was just hats off to Micah. He's one of the best. He's top 5 defensive players in the league. But he made a good play against Paris, and the rest of the game he just lined up against Jonah Williams. I would say the one thing you can do right now. I mean, we already did one of it. I talked about it maybe a month ago about getting Will Hernandez in at that right guard spot and then letting Evan Brown sit at that left guard spot. I think you just got to bench Jonah Williams right now and put in Kevin Beachum. Even though Beachum maybe his ceiling isn't as high as Jonah Williams might be, But at the end of the day, um, I think overall the level of play, you know, drive in and drive out, game in, snap, you know, I think Jonah Williams isn't going to give you. His floor is way down here. I think we've seen a lot more low lights than we have highlights from Jonah Williams. And I think with Kelvin Beachum, he stepped in at left tackle, for Paris a few weeks ago. But then now, I think having him in at right tackle would just make everything, especially just in the pass game in general, just flow a lot better. Hopefully they make that change this bye week. Who knows what's going to happen this bye week? You can't really change a whole lot, but hopefully we can make that change. So, yeah, more fire petsing. We're done for the season. No, para or pars. I don't think so. I think we could still sneak into the playoffs, just as a wild card. But this division's long gone. I mean, everyone else in the division has, I think, 4 wins, and it's the Seahawks, the 49ers, and Rams. They're playing lights out. I don't think you know unless some miracle happens. There's like a small percent chance we make the playoffs, but ultimately, I don't think we make it. Season's not over, but it's really trending towards that direction. Um, or Walsh said, I don't know if Kyler's a leader, TBH. Yeah, like I think Kyler's a leader. I know people were questioning his leadership. I don't know. They're just still saying that because ultimately I think it's because of the bad publicity that Steve Keim, Michael Bidwell put on Kyler when they were doing their contract negotiations because this is just naively how I see it. They weren't used to having a big name quarterback like that. He's not even a big controversial guy either. He's just, they just weren't ready to pay a quarterback that type of money in today's NFL, right? We're used to getting the Kurt Warners of the worlds, the Carson Palmers of the worlds, just late stage quarterbacks where say, hey, let's see what we got with this guy, right? But unfortunately, that's just not how they they should have treated that whole thing a lot better. Steve Keim and Michael Bidwell, instead of putting some bad media out there and then telling stuff to Rappaports, telling stuff to all these insiders just to make Kyler look bad. And I know this is kind of a thing with me. I don't know if you guys remember it, but back when the news first broke out of Kyler Murray's his video game clause, and it was like a week or two after where Ian Rappaport said he was like, I was just reading through the contract and I saw, this clause is a little bit weird. The contracts are like 300 pages long. The contracts are thick. They're thick contracts. There's no way Ian Rappaport sits down in the middle of a weekend, right? A few days after the contract signed, middle of free agency. No way he sits down and just reads the whole contract, right? He doesn't sit down and read. Steve Keim, I'm sure he did it, or it was Michael Bidwell, kind of got it out there. Say, hey, go look at the contract, go look around, these pages, and go see the clause that we put in. And sure enough, he went to those pages, saw the clause, and he was like, oh, that's weird. Kyler Murray's new contract has a video game clause where this isn't that. He has to spend an hour of studying, 2 hours. And I'm sure Kyler, when he signed the contract, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm sure when he signed the contract, he probably thought, that's whatever. I do that anyways, right? I study 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours a day anyways. So let's go and sign it. Let me get my money and let's keep this going. And unfortunately, that kind of fired back at him, where he just thought it was nothing, and everyone else was like, "Oh, you need this contract, you need this clause in here." Then that's a bad thing. But that's kind of my thing with Kyler and his leadership. I think it's kind of blown out of proportion. I think he's a good leader, just like everyone else. If Kyler is yelling at his receivers, yelling at his offensive line, it's looked at as bad leadership. But when Tom Brady does it, when Jackson Dart does it, when Russell Wilson does it, it's seen as fiery and competitive. So I just think it's different people's views on Kyler Murray. So I think that's what it was. Jason, it was heartbreaking. Yeah, too many problems to list. Yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking always being that close to getting the win. Um, like, I mean, I'll bring up the games right now. 23-20-27 Packers right now. We had a chance to go down and go win the game, walk off touchdown, and that's unfortunately you couldn't do that. Against the Colts, 31-27, same thing. You're in the red zone, you're able to get a score, but they pulled Trey McBride down. I think it was a pass interference. If it was, it wasn't. I mean, you shouldn't let the game be up there with the refs, where the refs can do a make or break decision. Just go out there and win the game. Titans, same thing, last minute field goal. Seahawks, same thing, last minute field goal. 49ers, same thing, last minute field goal. It's like all these close games, if we could just get one stop here and there, like everyone says, we could be, we could be, you know, what is it? We're 7 weeks. We could be 6-1. We could be 5-2, right? Instead of we're 2-5. So, that's the name of the game in the NFL. They're close wins. It's not going to be like college where there's blowout wins where hey, that team is just better than you. There's just execution, penalties. I think both those come back to coaching. I think Gannon, Drew Petzing, Nick Rallis, they all have to do better at coaching. Special teams, same thing. Jeff Rogers, our special team coordinator, he has to do a better job at coaching because, like, with the Seahawks game, the missed kickoff or the muff kickoff, that's another part of coaching where hey, let's just make sure they even if they don't bring it out, let's make sure we have enough space instead of having just one first down and they're in field goal range. So little things like that. Here, let me get something to drink. Little things like that, I think falls on coaching, and ultimately, I think all these games can change if you coach them better. I don't know, unfortunately, if there's a easier way to say it besides just coaching, because as you guys saw, no matter with Kyler, with Jacoby Brissett, it's still the same outcome. You know, with Kyler, yeah, you had a lot more explosive plays, a lot. Run game is maybe a little bit better because of the threat that Kyler brings with him running the football. But at the same time, you're still losing these games by one score, and you just got to change that, man. Excuse me. Um, so yeah, here, let's keep on going through the comments. So you're saying we should get a star player on both sides? I don't think that's what I was saying at all. Um, it's so damn obvious his Petzing needs to go. I'm guessing that's that what you're saying. Yeah, I mean this offense, it still seems like it's just mediocre. It's just staying in the same place. This offense, I just feel like it's honestly regressed. I've talked about this before. From year one with Josh Dobbs and with half of Kyler Murray coming back from ACL, the offense looked way more explosive, and you didn't have nearly the amount of players we have now. Where you didn't have a Marv, you didn't have Trey McBride was ascending, right? Paris was a rookie. You didn't have Froholt was his first year in, and you had what's his name? Who was that left guard or I forgot who that guard was, but you had a crappy left guard, and ultimately you just weren't able to do anything with it. The defense was trash. You basically broke everything down to the bones. Next year, it looked a whole lot better, where you got Marv, Trey McBride established, James Conner's looking good. You solidified the offensive line. The defense still needed some help. Now we're at the point where hey, defense is solid. You just got to get them off the field. I still think that's another part of it too. I don't think it's too much on Nick Rallis. I mean, I have it written right here to talk about, but the defense is soft. Let's go on to the defense side now. The defense is soft, but I don't think it's too much of a concern. I know Rallis, and if you guys see kind of the I don't know how to say it, the the conversation online where talking about Nick Rallis and Jonathan Ganning, their soft defense, and basically just saying, hey, they're just letting everything in front of them, and it's like slow paper cut. That's how they kill you. Just paper cuts, paper cuts, paper cuts until they get into field goal range, and then they ultimately get a touchdown or something like that. They get some points. Um, the defense, like I said, is soft, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's bad, right? same defenses are being played across the NFL where, hey, we're not letting anything deep. You know, you can take the underneath stuff. The thing I hate, we see it every single game, is when end of the game situation, fourth quarter to be exact, right? Every fourth quarter that we've been losing, our defense is on the field, right? And it's like, yeah, they're covering the deep shots, but I always feel like there's a running back, there's a tight end, there's someone underneath that. Hey, let's say, give an example, the running back right here with the Packers game, or it was Tucker Kraft, I believe. Yeah, Tucker Kraft, he was blocking for a little bit. Everyone just started going deep. There's no Cardinals defenders from the line of scrimmage to about 5-10 yards out. There's a 5-10 yard gap where there's no Cardinals defenders at all. And Tucker Kraft, he just, blocks a little bit, releases, goes to the flats. You know, Jordan Love, he's about to get sacked, but he just dumps it off to Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft takes it for 8 yards. Then it's 2nd and 2, 2nd and 1, and they're able to have a deep shot. They're able to run it with Josh Jacobs. So little things like that, in my eyes, why is there's always a drive where there's just no defenders within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage because everyone's just dropping back. That's the one thing I hate. I could look at it whenever in about an hour or so. I mean, I could post some stuff on Instagram and Twitter, just looking at these fourth quarters, because it's always been like that. It's been like that every single loss that we have. There's always a drive where there's just no one in the middle of the field, and you guys see, and we watch the broadcast too. The broadcast is, hey, we're rushing 4 or 5 maybe. They're getting to it. Someone just releases, sneaks out, and boom, there goes an easy 7-8 yard completion, and they're in second and manageable, and you're just, as a defense, you don't know if they're going to pass it deep. You don't know if they're going to run it. You're just trying to stop them. But at that point, you're just in a tough situation. So I just hate how soft it is in that situation. In other ones, I think throughout the game they play great. I do hope that Nick Rallis and Gannon, they could dial up some more blitzes like they did in years past. I mean, even last year, if you guys look at the games last year, there was a lot of instances where, hey, we're second in line. It's a cover zero, second line. You don't know who's driving back. You don't know who's rushing. As soon as they have the ball, two linebackers are rushing, DNs, popping out, stuff like that. And it's just, it looked beautiful on how Nick Rallis was executing these defenses and was able to generate pressure. Maybe not blitzing more people, right? But just giving the offensive line a look, a stunt where, hey, we might blitz everyone. We might blitz nobody. We might just rush 4. We might rush 3. Might rush 5. Who knows what that looks like? But we're able to confuse you just a little bit, right? Get you thinking just a little bit, so we could have our corners in a position to play. Our safeties, they're able to get in coverage. I just don't think that's happening right now. I don't know if they're too much in their head at this point where it's like, hey, we have a lead. I don't want to lose this lead, and that's playing scared at that point. And you don't want to play scared as an NFL team, because once you play scared, I mean, as you saw, we were losing 5 straight, because I think at a point where, especially these last couple of games, especially against the Titans, since the Titans game, I feel like we've just been playing scared and been playing out to lose. So that's just the part I think about with the defense. Let me see. Anyone on Twitter say anything? Anyone on YouTube? Yeah, like I said, if you guys want to hop in the chat, leave your comments. Twitter, YouTube, whatever that looks like for you guys, so we can go and make this a conversation. I won't be on here too long. Just to give you guys a heads up, maybe like an hour and a half at most. We missed a lot of tackles. Our offensive line folds every blitz. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. This offensive line, I said it too. This offensive line is just not good. I don't know. You can't switch anything right now. The main thing that you would hope is they just click, and whatever they found last year, they get the same thing. It's crazy how one guy in Clayton Adams can just leave your offensive line coach, and your offensive line goes from maybe top 5 to 10 in the NFL to bottom 5 in the NFL. Like, the interior offensive line is so garbage, where Jacoby, no matter if it's Jacoby, you could have Lamar Jackson out there, you could have Kyler out there, you could have Mahomes out there. It doesn't matter, because the offensive line is just letting anyone go through. Free blitzes, right? lanes are open in between each guard, right in between the center and guard and the A gap. Every A gap's open. Michael Carter, he shouts out to him. He's a 5'8" guy getting in there trying to block a defensive lineman, but that's not gonna help you. That's not gonna do anything. Um, Bam Knight, same thing. He's not a he's maybe a little bit bigger than Michael Carter. DeMarcado's a little bit bigger. He's better in pass protection, but at the end of the day, if you're relying on your running back to pick up blitzes, then what are we doing, right? Same thing, like you saw in multiple plays too. Why are we having Elijah Higgins block Micah Parsons one on one? I don't care if it's a run game. I don't care if it's in the pass. Why are you not double teaming Micah? Or even if you leave Micah alone with the Paris or Jonah Williams, why aren't you chipping him? Why do you let a tight end just one of our worst tight ends too? Elijah Higgins, he isn't Tip Ryman, right? He's a converted receiver to a tight end, and he's not a pass. He's not gonna block Micah Parsons. He's not gonna block any defensive lineman. So I that right there is I don't know how you fix the offensive line. Like I said earlier in the live, I do believe if you are to change something, you could change just how yeah, my bad. I'm just looking at the stream right here. You could change right tackle. I feel like that's the easiest upgrade you can make right now that'll actually work. And here, let me fix this right here. Okay. So yeah, the easiest thing you can do is put in Kelvin Beachum in at right tackle. He's the best option I think you have right now. I don't think you want to see Isaiah Adams in at left guard. I don't think that's the issue right there. It's just the continuity. It's the way they're getting coached. I don't know Justin Fryer, the offensive line coach that we have right now. I don't think he's particularly any good at this point. He's not elevating anyone. Paris is Paris. He'll be a great left tackle. I do believe Froholt, he kind of regressed a little bit. Evan Brown regressed a little bit. Will Hernandez, he's playing great. He's always been great in the run game. I still believe that, but I mean, our run game, our offensive linemen in the run game, they're just garbage right now. I don't know if it's because the Packers front. I don't think the Packers outside of Micah Parsons has an incredibly crazy front, but I could be wrong. And then same thing, Jonah Williams. He's just if you want to get a free sack, hell, everyone in this chat right now, all 12 of you, all 50 of you on Twitter, and everyone else on YouTube, I bet you if you get 10 pass rush snaps against Jonah Williams right now, you could probably get a sack on maybe two of them. That's what I believe right now. Just Jonah Williams, he's just not playing great right now. Um, let's see. Brian Bonilla says, "What do you think?" I don't know what you. Oh, okay, he said, "I think we trade Murray in a blockbuster trade for either Burrow or Lamar and send a couple first along with Murray. What do you think?" Cincinnati's not going to trade Joe Burrow. Lamar, the Ravens aren't going to trade Lamar. I did bring this up, I believe last week or 2 weeks ago, where you could get into a situation kind of like a Stafford and Golf trade, where I do believe this defense is ready to win right now. This offensive line is not, but I believe outside of that, you have pieces in place to win. You have the best tight end in the league, Trey McBride. You have a great, bona fide number one receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. I believe he can still be, he's still great. You just got to get him going a little bit more. Um, Offensive line definitely needs a switch. You have James Conner. If now you have Trey Benson coming back. This defense is playing great. I pray Calais comes back because he's our best defensive lineman player right now. Um, Other than that, you're gonna have Josh Sweat back. You're gonna have Dalvin Thomason back. You're gonna have Dante Stills. You're gonna have Walter Nolan. You're gonna have Darius Robinson. You're gonna have all those guys in defensive front. Mac Wilson's gonna be back. Will Johnson's gonna be in his second year playing great. You're gonna have Garrett Williams back. You're gonna have Keitrell Clark. You're gonna have Starling Thomas back. So you're gonna have a good defense for next year. Trade, sign. I don't know what you got to do with these offensive linemen. Get some guards, man. I don't care. Get some guards in here, and if you're able to get into situations like the Rams and Lions did a few years ago, where hey, we have a younger quarterback, maybe it just doesn't fit our timeline right now. Like we have an older, in the Rams case, they had an older Aaron Donald, they had a Jalen Ramsey, and they had all these older guys, Andrew Whitworth, and like, hey, we got to win right now. We have a ready defense. Our offensive line's great. We have Cooper Cup. We have I don't think they had Puka at that time. But hey, we have all these pieces. We have Odell. Let's go trade a quarterback and let's try and get someone maybe a little bit older, but someone that's probably has a higher ceiling, a higher floor and ceiling, but maybe overall, just you just have a tight window with that. And I don't know who that quarterback is. I don't know if it's I can't even think of anyone right now that's kind of in that age range, like mid 30s, because the guys I'm thinking of, like a Russ, he's I don't want to trade for him. You're not going to trade for any of the top guys like Mahomes, Lamar, or Burrow. I don't think any of that's going to happen. Kyler's right now 27, 28. So if you're able to do a trade like that, I can't even think right now who would be in that kind of Matthew Stafford kind of age range, contract wise, stuff like that, who's been trapped on a bad team that's playing solid, but they have a defense now and maybe a corner that maybe fits the better play style of Drew Petzing than what Kylie can do right now. So if you guys think of anything, let me know. I'm drawing a blank right now, so let me know with that. Let me see. Sell a team. Yeah, I mean that's going to be a common theme if we keep on losing. I don't know how this team's going to get sold because Bidwell, he's really prideful in keeping it in the family. So I don't know how that's going to work unless some more kind of controversies and some more allegations pop up. I know hey, I felt like we were close maybe 2-3 years ago when the him having the burner phone, the yelling at pregnant ladies allegations, the quote unquote racist remarks with Steve Wilkes. So that whole situation, I believe we were really close, but fortunately, I don't think the league pressed it too much. Because at that time they had what's his name, the Commanders owner, where he had his own situations. They're dealing with all that, his whole Snyder situations. Um, OC's crap, yeah, yeah. We just got to change. I think ultimately at the end of the year, like I said, Petty's gonna leave. Um, Kyler Murray, I think ultimately maybe we keep him one more year next year, but I think he's on borrowed time right now. He either has this year left, and then next year, and then maybe that's it. And I do believe he's gonna ball out in wherever he goes, because for the most part, I think there's gonna be an offensive coordinator out there who's gonna be able to take the skill set that Kyler has, maybe control it a little bit more, but let Kyler still be Kyler. Because right now, I feel like in this offense, you're not letting Kyler be Kyler. When you do let him be Kyler, you see like the end of the Seahawks game where he's playing great, he's playing out of his mind, and he's in the ball off, he's scrambling left and right, he's creating plays. But then at the same time, you constrict him so much where hey, he wants to play within the offense, get everything out on timing, and it ultimately leads to a dump off pass. It ultimately leads to just some whatever plays. So I believe there's an offensive coordinator out there who could take Kyler's skill set and corral it just a little bit, just enough where hey, we still want Kyler to be Kyler, him to be Superman at the end of the games, where he could be like, hey, let me go win the game for us, right? Let me go put the team on my back for these 2 drives maybe, and let's go win the game. But throughout the game, you're giving your quarterback some layups, you're giving some quarterback some easy throws to get into rhythm. So when you do need him to make that big splash play, jump off the high board, he's able to do that, and I just feel like he's always on edge and always just trying to be that Superman all 4 quarters. Let him be Superman at the end of the game, last 2 drives, and go win you the game. But just get him within rhythm and just have those couple plays trickle out throughout the game, and ultimately I think that's how you win with Kyler Murray. Um, Kevin White said, "Let me join." I don't think I can let you join right now. I'm not even on my phone. I'm just streaming it um, off my YouTube. So I got something to say. I'm not trying to get stuff kicked out right now. Um, let's see. No damn way it'll get worse. Been around a long time. I think it would open up. If Petzing's gone, I believe this is what you're talking about. If we eventually get rid of Drew Petzing, I believe it's gonna get a whole lot worse. Play Collins gonna go down the drain. It's gonna look almost to the, if you guys were here 2 years ago when Clayton Tune played against the Browns, and it was kind of, he was like the sacrificial piece to get that 1 week before Kyler Murray comes back. It could get bad like that, and I don't think anyone wants to see those type of games right now. Um, Kevin White, maybe another time. Like I said, I just can't do it right now. Um, let's see. Let's see. Petting's playing conservatively, and he's shooting himself in the foot with it. Fire him and replace him with a coach that has the balls to throw down the field. Yeah, I mean, if you do fire Petzing, I'm not saying mid-season, you get rid of Petzing at the end of the year. What head coach candidate? I mean, what offensive coordinator candidates do you guys want to see? I know there was Benjamin Albright. He was on PHNX Cardinals, and he said, someone like an Arthur Smith in here. I mean, I don't like that because Arthur Smith and Gannon were together, I think, with the Titans. So, I mean, I don't want to see that Arthur Smith offense in here. I feel like that just sounds worse than Petsing. I mean, unless there's something that you guys know of where it's, maybe a little bit less. But I don't know, man. I just think I just don't want to see an Arthur Smith led offense. That's the thing. So here, let me mute this. Sorry. I don't want to see that. What I do want to see is one name that did intrigue me. I mean, obviously everyone has Mike McDaniel's. I feel like if he does get fired from the Dolphins, and we keep Kyler, that'll be a perfect fit. But someone like Wes Phillips, and let me tell you about Wes Phillips. Like I said, he I was listening to that interview when Benjamin Albright was on PHNX Cardinals. If you guys don't know PHNX Cardinals, go take a look at them. They're great Cardinals podcast. My buddies Johnny and Bo, they do a great job. Getting people on there, getting insiders on there. And Benjamin Albright, he's really tapped into the NFL, just teams, just situations in general. I don't know how he's so tapped in. He's a Broncos guy, but he said a name to kind of keep an eye out for was Wes Phillips. Wes Phillips right now, he's the offensive coordinator for the Vikings. And I'm sure you're saying, hey, why do we want the offensive coordinator for the Vikings? Isn't Kevin O'Connell the main one calling plays? And yes, he is the main one calling plays, but at the same time, Wes Phillips has been under some great head coaches for the past couple years, and all that learning and understanding offenses, I feel like he just needs an opportunity, kind of like a Drew Petzing was, but not Drew Petzing coming up from Kevin Stefanski and the Vikings and stuff like that. This guy Wes Phillips, he came up through the Cowboys in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and then was with the Redskins. I mean, with Washington. My bad, I didn't mean to say that name. With the Commanders, with the Commanders, he was with the Commanders when the Commanders had all those coaches. Where here, I'll bring it up right here. I'll read you the name of the coaches that he was with. He was with Kyle Shanahan. He was with Matt LaFleur. He was with Mike McDaniel. He was with Sean McVay, Raheem Morris, Slowick, Bobby Slowick. Bob Slowick's a dad. Bobby Slowick's he's the offensive coordinator for the Texans right now. Um, he was with yeah, and then he was the tight ends coach for Sean McVay when Sean McVay took over play calling for the Washington team. So he was with all those teams. You guys know, you guys seen it out there where it's like, hey, this 2012 to 13 Washington Commanders, the Washington team's coaching staff was unbelievable. I don't know how they didn't win under Jay Gruden. They had the Shanahan, McVay, Raheem Moore, all these now offensive coordinators, now head coaches. He was within those rooms, within those locker rooms. And then when Sean McVay got the head coaching job, youngest head coach in the NFL in 20 was it? Let me see, 2019? No, he wasn't. 2019. When was McVay? 2017. So yeah, he went with Sean McVay in 2019. McVay was there in 2017. He was the same tight ends coach, pass game coordinator, and then when Kevin O'Connell took the head coaching job, he was I think the offensive coordinator for the Rams at that point under Sean McVay. So you guys know he wasn't calling plays. So Kevin O'Connell he took a job where people liked him, and now he's one of the best head coaches right now. He's like a quarterback whisperer. So the next guy underneath him, I know it's kind of like diluting the water, right? You keep on diluting, you're gonna get a bad product. But I don't, you're not hiring him as a head coach. You're not hiring him as anything like that. You're hiring him just to call plays, just to be an offensive play caller, and with the way I see the Vikings situation going, they're able to play great with Sam Darnold. They were able to play great with JJ McCarthy right now. Carson Wentz is just Carson Wentz. You can't. I don't think anyone can fix Carson Wentz at this point. But and then he's been the offensive coordinator for 1, 2, 3, 4 years under Kevin O'Connell. So I do believe Wes Phillips is a fun name. He's the son of Wade Phillips. I don't know if you guys remember Wade Phillips. He was a defensive coordinator for the Rams for a little bit. So that's a name I do personally like. If we are to get rid of, we are getting rid of. I'm more than positive. You know, mutually parting ways with Drew Petzing at the end of the year. But if that does happen, hey, I would love to see Wes Phillips here in Arizona with Kyler, without Kyler, or with a young quarterback. Let's see what Wes Phillips has in store. And he comes from a great coaching family too. Wes Phillips and his grandfather is Bum Phillips. He was a head coach. I was looking it up like in the 50s in the NFL. He was a head coach for a long time. So he comes from a head coach family. And all those in my eyes are green flags. Where it's, hey, you have relatives or something like, or family that's been with inside NFL, right? Who knows the NFL, who've been through the NFL. It's not like, hey, this is my first time, or hey, I've we've been through the collegiate ranks a whole bunch. Let me try my shot at the NFL, because those are two completely different sports. I'd call at this point. Their family's been in the NFL, right? He's been through the NFL. It's not like he's a head coach right now for a college team. He's been like, I'll read through what he was before. Dallas Cowboys quality control, offensive assistant, offensive line coach, tight ends coach from 2007 to 2013. And then with Washington as a tight ends coach from 2014 to 2018. And then with the Rams for 2 years, 3 years as a tight ends coach and pass game coordinator, and then for 4 years offensive coordinator under the Vikings. So he was under Jason Garrett, he was under Jay Gruden, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, and his father Wade Phillips. So all great. I mean, there could be a lot worse names that you could work for as a play caller. I mean, I don't think these names are bad at all. Sean McVay obviously the best one. I would say right now Kevin O'Connell probably the next best one. Wade Phillips, he's a great defensive coordinator. Jay Gruden, you can say what you want about him. Same thing with Jason Garrett. They're, I think, in similar situations, similar rankings. So that's where I think who could be the next offensive coordinator. Um, yeah. Let me see. What else are you guys saying? Um, Here, I think I'm behind a lot in these comments. Um, Logan says it's not about Kyler or Brissett. We suck with both. Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying before. We're losing with Kyler, losing Brissett, and honestly, the product on the field might look a little bit better with Jacoby, just because he's getting, I do believe, more of his skill players involved. But ultimately, I don't think he's playing all that better where we're not getting any more wins, right? The play, there's still good plays with Kyler, good plays with Jacoby Brissett. They're just different types of plays. With Kyler, he's more of a, hey, let me go do something myself. Let me go scramble and make a play like that, and he'll get you, 5 to 8 yards scrambling the ground. With Jacoby, he stands in the pocket, delivers it, dumps off, and that's his way of moving the ball. So two different play styles. I do believe I said it. I put it out there on Twitter. Um, I believe two things can be true at the same time. Where Kyler Murray is a better overall quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. I don't think that should be a controversy at this point. Um, but at the same time, Jacoby Brissett is probably better suited for this type of offense than Kyler Murray is, because I feel like Kyler Murray he feels restricted. I feel like he's not let in a position to have those magical plays that we fell in love with, right? The plays that he has in Oklahoma and when Cliff was here, he just doesn't have that freedom to go all out. He wants to play within the offense, and the offense is structured in a way where, hey, we're just moving the ball down the field, trying to get positive yards and run game. So I don't think he's too, like I said, Jacoby's better in this offense than I think Kyler is. So there's that. Anything else you guys want to say? How are we so ass? I think right now the reason why we're losing by a field goal basically every game is coaching. Penalties, not getting your team in position to win. I feel like 60 to 80% of it's coaching. The rest of it is probably offensive lines being garbage. Players are not executing. You know, Other than that, those are only two things. And hopefully you take this week to kind of reflect. I mean, that's the title of this stream right now. Let's have the coaches reflect on what they're teaching their players right now. Because if you just take this week and hey, bye week and try and forget everything, let's come back normal, then you're gonna keep on losing. We have to figure out. The coaches have to figure out what are we not coaching enough. What are we coaching too much of? Where we're wasting time in these late game situations. We're just getting steamrolled, right? They're getting chunk yardage, 15, 20-yard passing plays here and there, and just driving us down the field. And second, fourth quarter collapses, they're just happening at this point. Yeah, maybe it's a anomaly when it happens one or two times, but it's happening. It's happened every single game so far. It goes down to the last drive, and everyone's just kicking field goals. 49ers kick field goals, Seahawks kick field goal, Titans kick the field goal, Colts and Packers, both them, they just was able to stop you guys before getting into the end zone. So that's what's happening right there. Um, get fat Jonah Williams off my team. Send Petzing to the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, get Jonah Williams off the team. Like I said, it'll be a whole lot better if we are able to get someone like Kelvin Beachum. I think he's an easy replacement right now for that um, for Jonah Williams. So that's my quick fix on that. Can't get much worse than Green Bay's play calling. I mean, Matt LaFleur, he's a winning head coach. Yeah, maybe he has some questionable play calling. I mean, I don't believe the Cardinals defense is easy to play against. I believe they have a good defense, so maybe the play calling is a little bit questionable here and there, but at the same time, they're winning. So you can't say much than that. They're 5-1. I think 5-1-1. So no matter if same thing with Drew Petzing, right? The first 2 weeks we're like, hey, Drew Petzing, the play calling is trash, but we're winning. So, we're trying to fix it at the same time. You're getting wins. So winning cures all in the NFL and in any major sport. Winning cures all. And no matter if you have a crap offense, crap defense, if you're winning, you feel good about it and you just keep on going. It's when you have a crap offense and defense and you start losing, that's when all those things are starting happening, like what's happening right now with Jonathan Gannon, where people are saying, fire Gannon and stuff like that because he's too noble to his guy Drew Petzing. So, you know, things like that, I believe you just can't. You just gotta win. You just gotta win. You gotta figure out what could save you in this bye week. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I do know what it is. It's coaching, but I don't know how you fix it. I can't right now tell you guys, hey, this is what they got to do and fix it. I do believe changing Jonah Williams will fix most of the stuff, but at the end of the day, it just falls on what Drew Petzing, Justin Fryer are telling this offense. Because the defense, I think, is playing good. Defense, besides a few of those weird situations where there's no one looks like within 5 yards of a defender. Other than that, there's just nothing to say. You got to fix this offense. This offense shouldn't be in the fourth quarter just having three and outs, three and outs, three and outs. This offense at the end of the game, you should be able to go drive down the field, get some points, either field goals or touchdowns, and that's the end of it, right? You want to have at least one more point than another person at another team at the end of the game, and defense saved you a few times. I mean, look at these scores. I keep on going back to this because these are low scoring games. I mean, the Packers put up 27. You should be able to beat 27. Colts are just dropping 40 on everyone, and we made them get down to 31. Titans 20, 22. Seahawks 23. 49ers 16. So this defense is playing great. They're playing solid. They're getting teams to low 20s, which most of the time you see teams putting up big, higher 20s to 30 numbers. But this defense is playing good enough where they're keeping teams under in those scores. And I don't think there's, yeah, outside of coaching, I don't think there's anything that you could change. You think Jacoby could be our new QB1? I don't think so. He's a backup for a reason. If he was a QB1, he wouldn't be a backup. I don't want to go through a scenario where, hey, Jacoby Brissett's a QB1 because things aren't changing. Things are getting better. Even though it may look better, you might feel better because Kyler's not out there, but it's still the same prog at the end of the day. Nothing's changing. Yeah, you might have maybe one or two deep passes down the field, but outside of that, Kyler helps you out in the run game a whole lot better. And this run game's looking like crap right now. So it's gonna, the yin and the yang. 85% of the stadium was Packers. I mean, yeah, that's what happens when your team doesn't win. When the Packers are perennial winners and they have great quarterback play for the past 50 years and they're winning all kinds of games. That's what happens when you consistently win year in and year out. I don't think the Packers really have losing seasons like that. Cardinals, on the other hand, that's what happens when you're a perennial loser. When you lose all kinds of games, is you start losing home field advantage, right? And then, with Arizona being those type of states where you have snowbirds that come in, and hey, for the winter time, instead of having our home in Minnesota or Wisconsin, we're over here in Arizona and just here, let me clean that. I'll clean that right now. We're here in Arizona, just in our summer home, so that's also part of it. And yeah, there's not too much. I mean, the Green Bay Packers, they're a big fan base, and they're going to be fans everywhere for them, and that's just the end of that. Let's keep on going through these comments. You think Jacoby could be our QB for next season? This is a good topic. We could probably end on right here unless you guys have more comments. But for next season, talk to me, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Jacoby should be our QB next season? And this is how I kind of think about it. If you, let's say if you're gonna move off of Drew Petzing, I think that's a non-negotiable. It's gonna happen at the end of the year. You move off of him, but then afterwards, let's say, what do you do? Do you keep Kyler? Do you trade Kyler? If you keep Kyler, I do believe. I mean, you're going to draft a quarterback regardless. I think this draft, no matter in the first round, second round, third round, you're going to draft one. Day one or day two, you can draft a quarterback. If you do keep Jacoby Brissett and you get someone like I don't know, like a Wes Phillips or something like that, or like a Arthur Smith, you have Jacoby be that bridge quarterback to. You got to feel comfortable with who you get in the draft. And I know that that's difficult to say, but let's say you don't like anyone in this draft, right? Let's say Monty Ossenfort doesn't like any quarterbacks in this draft. Hey, we're waiting until next year to see who's out there next year. I believe you stick with Kyler Murray one more year. His cap hit, I think starting this offseason gets a little bit better to either cut him, not cut him, to trade off of him in terms of dead money. But if you don't like anyone in this draft, wait till next draft, right? You stick with the same. Give Kyler one more offensive coordinator, whether whoever it is, and then at the end of next season, you figure out where you're at. You figure out if you like any of the quarterbacks. You figure out if you want to keep Kyler with the offensive coordinator that you brought in, whatever that looks like, you could evaluate then. But I do think if you do trade Kyler, you have to fall in love with one of the quarterbacks, and you have to be willing to either trade up to get him, or be, God forbid, be within the top 10 to snag quarterback. Um, hopefully we're not drafting in the top 10. I think right now we are. If we go to draftathon, let me see, draft uh thon. I think NFL 2026 NFL draft order. The Cardinals currently sit at number 9, 2-5. They're at a 5-game losing streak. The next worst losing streak is the Jets. They lost 7 in a row. They're 0-7. Outside of that, the Ravens lost 4. Miami's lost 3. Yeah, the Cardinals are in the worst losing streak right now, losing 5 straight. Yeah. So, um, we're picking number 9. So, I mean, if everything stays the same right now, we are going to be picking in the top 10. And yeah, maybe you get a chance at a quarterback, whatever quarterback you guys like, whether it's Lenore Sellers, whether it's, I don't know the quarterbacks right now. Martinez, I think from Oklahoma. I'm not too sure right now, or I think someone said Sam Levitt's right now, Sam Levitt, whatever that quarterback is, you might have a chance to draft him if things keep on going the way they are. And then at that point, you just figure out, hey, we like this quarterback. We like, what we see from him. We just got to make sure he fits within our culture, our locker room as a future leader for this team. And at that point, you figure out a trade for Kyler Murray. Hopefully, you get a good trade package in terms of draft capital. But, I do believe there's teams out there that'll, for lack of a better word, be desperate for Kyler Murray because he is still within a contract, right? A solid contract. He's not a top 10 paid QB anymore. He's probably around the 12th range. Um, he's still young and athletic. You still have good years out of him. And then also, if you're as an offensive coordinator, head coach, whatever play caller, they all have like this cockiness, I guess, for lack of a better word, about him, saying, "Hey, they weren't using him correctly over here. I know how to use him. I know how to fix him." So someone's gonna have that mindset with Kyler, where they're gonna be able to fix him and work with him. So hopefully he balls out wherever he goes. But like I said, you have to fall in love with one of the quarterbacks that are in the draft right now, and then see where you go from there. Um, Let me see. Any other last minute comments before I end the stream, guys? Here. Tank for Tyson gets Sam late first round or second. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I love Tyson. He's a great receiver. I don't know about Sam. Yeah, he's a great leader, but from ASU to NFL, I just I don't know. It's tough to evaluate quarterbacks. I know they're gonna have their own way to evaluate quarterbacks, but right now I just don't know about Sam. Late first will probably be the best area to get him, kind of like a Jalen Hurts area situation where you get him late first, early second. But yeah, Tyson, hey, he's a great. If you're able to have Marv and Tyson on each side of the field, that'd be amazing. Like, that'd be a great offense. So let me see. Any last minute comments? Anyone from Twitter want to say something? Anyone from YouTube? Some of you guys on YouTube right here. Other than that, hey, thank you guys for listening to the stream. I do appreciate you guys, showing up. There's about 100 of you so far on Twitter, about 10 to 15 on Instagram Live right now. Hopefully, I'll be able to get, TikTok set up, maybe Twitch, maybe, more consistently on here, maybe in the mornings too. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know, hey, if you want me to stream in the mornings, we could do kind of a 3 days a week where it's post game. We do, Tuesday in the morning, Wednesday in the morning, and then like a Friday kind of previewing the next game. So I do appreciate you guys coming through. If you guys can, please go to my YouTube, subscribe to it, leave a comment, leave a like, let me know what you guys think of that. I'll be posting clips for my live stream, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, stuff like that. So hopefully you guys, repost and stuff like that. I really do appreciate it. Other than that, we'll be ending the live stream. And yeah, like I said, appreciate you guys. Please go subscribe to the YouTube, and I'll catch you guys later.